Golda Meir, one of the most iconic and formidable figures in modern political history, was not only Israel's fourth prime minister, but also one of the first women in the world to lead a nation. Known for her steely determination, emotional honesty, and unpretentious leadership style, she became a symbol of resilience during some of Israel's most turbulent years. Her life and career represent a fascinating journey from humble beginnings in Eastern Europe to the highest echelons of global politics, marked by a blend of idealism, pragmatism, and indomitable will. Early life and formation of convictions. Golda Meir was born as Golda Mabovich on May 3, 1898, in Kiev, then part of the Russian Empire, now Ukraine. Her family faced the harsh realities of anti-Semitic persecution, which deeply marked her worldview. Pogroms and economic hardship pushed her family to emigrate to the United States in 1906, settling in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The immigrant experience profoundly shaped Meir's understanding of injustice, survival, and the need for collective organization. From an early age, she displayed remarkable leadership qualities and a passion for social causes. As a student, she organized fundraising campaigns to support Zionist efforts in Palestine and became involved in socialist movements, particularly among Jewish labor circles. These formative years in America not only honed her organizational abilities, but also solidified her lifelong belief in the socialist Zionist ideal, a combination of national independence for the Jewish people and a commitment to social equality. Emigration to Palestine and political rise. In 1921, Meir, together with her husband, Morris Meyerson, emigrated to British-controlled Palestine. They joined a kibbutz, a collective agricultural community, where Meir's dedication, energy, and practical intelligence quickly earned her respect. Life in the kibbutz represented the embodiment of her ideals: communal living, shared labor, and collective responsibility. Her political rise began through the Histadrut, General Federation of Labor, one of the most powerful organizations in pre-state Israel. Meir became an influential figure within the labor movement, particularly through her work with women's issues and immigrant absorption. Her eloquence, empathy, and efficiency distinguished her as a natural leader. By the 1930s and 1940s, Meir had become a prominent voice in the Zionist movement. She played an active role in the Jewish Agency, working to secure funding, facilitate immigration, and negotiate with British authorities. Her ability to combine emotional appeal with political realism made her an effective diplomat and negotiator. Role in the founding of Israel. Golda Meir's role in the founding of the State of Israel was pivotal. As tensions escalated before the end of the British Mandate in 1948, Meir participated in key decision-making discussions with David Ben-Gurion and other leaders. On the eve of independence, she famously undertook a clandestine mission to Jordan, attempting to persuade King Abdullah I not to join the Arab invasion that was expected to follow Israel's declaration of statehood. Despite her efforts, war broke out, but her mission reflected her courage and diplomatic initiative. When Israel declared independence on May 14, 1948, Meir was one of the signatories of the Declaration of Independence. Soon after, she was appointed Israel's first ambassador to the Soviet Union, a difficult post during the early years of the Cold War. Her mission there underscored the importance of Soviet Jewish support and the need to balance relations between the East and West. Ministerial career and domestic leadership. Upon her return to Israel, Meir held several key ministerial positions. As Minister of Labor 1949 to 1956, she was responsible for building Israel's social infrastructure. She oversaw the construction of hundreds of settlements, roads, and housing projects to accommodate the waves of Jewish immigrants arriving from Europe and the Middle East. Her tenure was characterized by an almost maternal approach to nation building, coupled with a no-nonsense management style. From 1956 to 1966, she served as Minister of Foreign Affairs. During this period, she worked tirelessly to expand Israel's diplomatic relations, especially with newly independent African nations. Meir viewed Israel's development experience as a model for cooperation with the Third World, offering agricultural and technical assistance in exchange for political goodwill. Her diplomacy emphasized solidarity among emerging nations and presented Israel as a partner in progress rather than merely a Western outpost. Her international appeal was remarkable, She was often seen as the human face of Israel, practical, compassionate, and morally steadfast. Despite her aversion to the pomp of diplomacy, Meir managed to build personal relationships with world leaders, always advocating for Israel's security and legitimacy. Tashtar Prime Ministership, 1969 to 1974. Following the sudden death of Prime Minister Levi Eshkol in 1969, Golda Meir was chosen as his successor at the age of 70. Initially seen as a transitional leader, she surprised many with her energy and decisiveness. Her premiership coincided with a particularly tense period in the Middle East, marked by continued hostility from neighboring Arab states and internal divisions within Israel. Meir's leadership style was direct and personal. She held informal cabinet meetings at her kitchen table and preferred candid conversations to bureaucratic formalities. To her supporters, this made her authentic and relatable. To her critics, it reflected an overly centralized decision-making process. Her first years as prime minister were marked by relative stability and growing international stature. She represented Israel on the world stage as a determined yet peace-seeking leader. However, her tenure would ultimately be overshadowed by the Yom Kippur War of October 1973. The Yom Kippur War and political decline. The 1973 war proved to be the defining and most tragic moment of Meir's political career. On Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack on Israeli positions in the Sinai Peninsula and the Golan Heights. The initial Israeli unpreparedness shocked the nation and exposed serious intelligence and strategic failures. Although Israel ultimately repelled the attacks and regained lost territory, the war inflicted a deep psychological wound. Thousands of soldiers were killed, and the aura of Israeli invincibility built after the 1967 Six-Day War was shattered. Golda Meir, who had relied heavily on military advisors who assured her that an Arab attack was unlikely, took full moral responsibility. Public protests erupted, and her government faced intense criticism for failing to anticipate the war. Despite winning the subsequent elections in December 1973, the mounting political pressure forced her to resign in April 1974. Her departure marked the end of an era for Israel's founding generation. Legacy and historical assessment. Golda Meir's legacy is complex and multifaceted. To many Israelis, she remains a beloved mother of the nation, a leader who embodied dedication, simplicity, and moral clarity. Her story is one of immense perseverance. A woman who rose from immigrant poverty to global prominence, who navigated a world dominated by male politicians with authority and grace. Her admirers praise her for her lifelong commitment to the survival and welfare of the Jewish people. Her contribution to building Israel's infrastructure, promoting social welfare, and establishing diplomatic ties across continents cannot be overstated. She also stands as a pioneering figure for women in politics, proving that leadership transcends gender barriers. However, critics argue that her rigid stance toward the Palestinians and Arab states limited opportunities for peace. She famously stated that there was no such thing as a Palestinian people, a view that, while reflecting mainstream Israeli opinion at the time, later drew significant criticism. The failures of the Yom Kippur War also tarnished her reputation, suggesting that her leadership, though morally resolute, sometimes lacked strategic flexibility. In retrospect, Golda Meir's political journey mirrors the broader trajectory of Israel's early decades, a blend of visionary idealism, existential struggle, and the burdens of statehood. Her plain-spoken rhetoric, emotional patriotism, and fierce sense of duty made her a historical figure of almost mythic proportions. Conclusion. Golda Meir's life story is that of a woman who defied expectations and left an indelible mark on history. She was not a theorist or a philosopher. She was a doer, a practical idealist who believed in the moral right of her people to exist and thrive in their homeland. Her leadership was marked by courage and conviction, but also by the human flaws inherent in any great leader. In the end, Golda Meir's enduring image is that of a grandmotherly figure with a steel will, a symbol of the spirit that built Israel out of adversity. Her career stands as a testament to the power of determination, the weight of responsibility, and the complex moral challenges of leadership in a world fraught with conflict and hope.